So as I pick up where I left off, man, cause nigga, my phone and it just stopped recording. But nah, to pick up where I left off, in the manifestation of Ogun, I find that Christopher Dorner served a great purpose. You know what I mean? As police officers or military personnel say, "Oh, we here to protect and serve," and this the third. You know what I mean? I find in the macrocosm, in the higher self. You know what I mean? In the realm of the ancestors, you know what I'm saying? Christopher Dorner was very much revered, and raised up, on high. So, if anybody see this, raise that energy up because that energy is Ogun and the energy that he carry is of Ogun energy. So essentially, Ashe Christopher Dorner, Ashe Christopher Dorner, Ashe Christopher Dorner, because apparently, what he was carrying down here, what I'm saying, was much greater and much more fierce, should I say. You know what I mean? The light that he had, the fire that he had while here on earth was something much more fierce, but it was also something much more for the people. You know what I'm saying? So, as it is polarity and duality and things like that, when one is not being met evenly or accordingly with who they are intending to be, and they're only being treated one way or only being told that they are one way, then and they know they not, you can only imagine when a person who knows themselves or an individual who knows, like, man, hold on, I know not of what the fuck you saying, and I'm over here accepting it. I'm getting money. I'm watching other people go through it and make excuses for it. That to a person who really knows, not only themselves, but I would say the psychological warfare of emotion and manipulation and the tactics that is not just being used individually, nigga. We're talking a whole world. You know what I'm saying? A whole world of people, you know what I'm saying, who are being manipulated by these governments, by these fictitious forces, you know what I'm saying? Just because they use fear, just because they use, violence or whatever tactics. So it's like in his own self-assurance, should I say, he take matters into his own hands, and I respect that because as a warrior, as a spiritual being, as one who represents freedom, you know what I mean? I saw that what he was fighting for, what he was aiming for, was not just the freedom of himself and the freedom and the redemption of who he is as an individual, but for the collective and the whole of that which he experienced and even put forth. So in the manifesto and even, in his last days, he spoke on how he saw so much infliction being put on the people as a cop, and I'm sure many other black cops out there do. So they recognize and they see, they chief of police or their co-worker get at black people in a way where it's like, nigga, don't you got a black co-worker? You know what I'm saying? But back to what I was saying, the attack on the empathy has desensitized niggas in the heart to where when a nigga put on that badge and the uniform, some niggas don't even think they black no more. Some niggas don't, even niggas gangbanging. When a nigga put that flag on, a nigga don't even think he nigga no more. He whatever cuz, whatever blood, you know what I'm saying? And so essentially the ignorance that is being used perpetually to usurp the energy, man. Niggas gotta be able to see this shit, man, and also see yourself where you might not be very present and actually get to where you need to be. Get to where your soul and spirit is calling you. You know what I mean? Because that's what you're here for. You're here for your soul. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to this human experience and this body's supposed to be, let's say, guided or being guided and navigated, according to how you vibrate. You feel me? And if you don't understand the energy that you carry spiritually, ancestrally, and so forth and so on, if you ain't nigga, you'll find yourself out here being a super soldier for motherfucking martial law or for fucking Elon Musk or whatever these niggas, man. You know what I'm saying? You'll find yourself being consumed in the consumerism of the government that only looks to feed on its citizens and prey, you know? And so it's unfortunate, man, that like I would say, time after time, shout out to that song, but time after time, our great ones, you know what I'm saying? Our great ones don't get the acknowledge and the credit and the light that maybe they deserve from us. You know what I'm saying? And so we don't see it that way, or we don't see it in its pure essence of the spirit manifesting and doing, you know, doing us a good one. You know what I'm saying? But or let's, like they say, doing us a solid. We don't never see that. Or we try to, oh, that nigga was the police, or that nigga, you know, and mind you, this is niggas coming from pain, coming from ignorance, coming from trauma, coming from all of these things, judging the same, you know? So it's like, at least a nigga attempted at something, you know what I'm saying? And didn't follow the footsteps of pain and trauma and confusion and deception into an illusion of nothing. You know what I'm saying? And that's just some real shit, because the way we judge ourselves, you know, it ain't even about it being harsh. The way we judge ourselves just be incorrect. The way we judge ourselves is like how you a black man judging yourself like the white man judging you. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to society and circumstance and fitting the narrative or image of anything, niggas be forgetting that, nigga, we have our own shit. We are our own shit. So how we see and how we operate and how we even breathe to exist, nigga, is unique in its fashion, and we should take pride in that. We should own that. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, we will be undervalued in ourselves, allowing others to walk over and step on us and treat us any old way, give us any old job, and tell us what we made of and what the fuck we not. That's out. That's out. So I find that the energy of Christopher Dorner, you know, he was more than fed up. You know what I'm saying? He was more than fed the fuck up. He clearly was, you know, activated and awakened to a lot of things rather subtly or unseen that he was dealing with on the subconscious or on the internal, but he wasn't dealing with it. He just had it. So that's like when you got all of the pain, the misery, or all of the sorrow, and it's not being transmuted, or it's not, you know, being expressed, or it's not, you know, making its point. That shit could frustrate a motherfucker, because it's like, you know what the problem is, but you don't know exactly how to solve it, or you don't know how it's gonna be solved, or if it's even for you to solve it. So all the questions, all the conspiratorial shit that a nigga could come up with theoretically, nigga, we do that all day. You know what I mean? Just as far as when it comes to the depravity, or I don't know if that's a word, but when it comes to how we've been deprived, how we've been beaten, how we've been slain, how we been put in all of these different circumstances, nigga, we've been fucked up. That's what I want to say. We've been fucked up, and it's not an excuse. We've been fucked up because we've been fucked up trying to appease and appeal to a world that never considered us to be any of the sort, you know? And this where we really got to look at ourselves as individuals. This where we really got to look at, you know, why are we living and existing, and what are we here for? What are we doing? You know what I mean? Because if you incarnating here, if you here, nigga, you know what I mean, in time, and I'm gonna say it like that. If you're in time, consider yourself on time. I don't care if the job say you late. I don't care if you might be late to school, might be late to a hair appointment, whatever it is. I don't know. But, nigga, as long as you're in time where 24 hours and numbers and shit can be calculated, oh, boy, you got it. You know, because you have an opportunity or a chance to weave and navigate through the elements of time to go beyond it as, let's say, do what you want to do. And in the spaces of 2012, 2013, and prior to the 90s and 2000s, a lot of niggas were not doing what they want to do. Even in the society of things, as far as survival, a lot of the the shit that niggas just took on, the slack that niggas just took on, that shit was not like, niggas don't want that. You know what I mean? So you can only take on so much until you reach a certain breaking point, you know what I mean, as far as how docile you'll be to a world or a system or society or community that says you got to be this way or we want you to be like this or like that, you know? And my man Christopher Dorner just wasn't having it. He actually stood for something before he was going to fall for the okie doke. And that's something that I want to acknowledge just in this moment of today. You know, for whoever, you know, this video may resonate with, for whoever may, you know, for whoever may come across this video, take what resonates, as they say, you know what I mean? But I'm giving it to you straight raw, because how I experienced this shit as a child. You know, I was 2013, nigga. I remember 2013. As a young nigga, bro, and even my fellow young niggas, bro, we niggas shout out. Because my boy got a song called Christopher Dorner. So, you know, that's the, you know what I mean? We did that. But overall, as a child, when I saw this shit, I was like, wow. You know, I wasn't mad and I wasn't sad. I was happy, but I couldn't express the happiness. And I'm sure everybody else had a sense of nostalgia, you know, that I'm going to call happy. You know, everybody had a sense of nostalgia that they couldn't put a finger on. And that's the spirit that was manifesting and showing through Christopher Dorner. And so this is where, you know, I guess in this time of Black history, you know what I mean? Because I'm like, damn, as me and my boy was talking on Saturday, I did think, I'm like, damn, they don't even speak about this nigga no more. Like, when he did what he did, like, as a spiritual being, as somebody who would, let's say, break the matrix, he's somebody that they keep under the fucking rug. I'd be surprised if they got a picture of him somewhere in the precinct. Nigga, they act like the nigga never existed. And so, that's a sign. That's a sign. That's a sign, my nigga. But it's also a sign for us to remind ourselves that we paint our own images, you know what I'm saying? We create our own characters. We do our own fucking stunts, you know what I'm saying? And whereas when it comes to raising energy up, we raise our own energy up, you know what I mean? We raise and we give praise to our own warriors and killers and leaders and chiefs, gods, goddesses and heroes and villains, you feel what I'm saying? Because we got it all, you know what I'm saying? You gotta understand that. When you black as me, nigga, you got it all, you know what I'm talking about? But no, real shit, because this motherfucker's blacker than me. But I'm just saying, when it comes to the indigenous, the melanated beings, the natives, you know what I'm saying? Those who've been here, you know, we have so much to offer and give ourselves in rather the completion and rather the fulfillment and rather the light of things, beyond the chaos, beyond the confusion, beyond the processing of the mind, to where we need to just leave it alone. Not saying leave the mind behind, but shout out to Miss Blue again. I can't make it. I just can't, you know, I can't make it up. But stop giving credit away to the mind, and even stop putting pressure on the mind that you know the mind cannot solve. Be spiritual, nigga. Be who you are as a soul and as a spirit. Know yourself. You feel what I'm saying? Because when you know yourself, you'll then know the self that you created or are creating to then exist in and then be received or accepted or identified after you done already been identified in the man in the mirror. Dig? And man, I mean this shit, bro. I mean this shit. And I'm glad that I can share this message, you know, with whoever it resonates with and whoever, you know, is there to receive it. Because as a warrior spirit, you know, as something, and I'm gonna be real, as a nigga who don't like police, as a nigga who be in the under of the world, you know what I'm saying? I prefer to be under the world with all the bullshit, you know, where, you know, the chaos is normal, you know what I'm saying? I prefer to be in that. I think many of us are like that, but even understanding and knowing better, that ain't even our natural state. As in, it's more to that we come from, that we just do that type of shit just to kind of, you know, persist. That ain't nothing. And so I say that to say, you know, what they got niggas glorifying in manhood or godhood or even just livelihood is ignorance, and that's whack. So I don't fuck with that. You know what I'm saying? I don't fuck with that. I don't fuck with that at all. Because I'm saying this to say that regular street nigga or young nigga, you know, probably see a picture of Christopher Dorner and feel offended that he's a police. And I'm like, oh, you don't know. This nigga took out all the police. He did everything that if we were gonna be police and shit, nigga, that's what we gotta do. That's what we should do. You feel what I'm saying? So he did, you know, a task, and he fulfilled a task, you know, let's say rather for the collective, you know what I'm saying, that still may not get it, you know, but that ain't the point. It's time and place for everything. So just like I'm here giving this message, you know, it was all meant to be, and that's something that, you know, I'm thankful that I can see, because I ain't forgot. And that's one thing that I pride on is memory and, you know, just knowledge and shit like that. I'm not saying you got to know everything, but certain things that are cataclysmic, you know, and catalytic even in the sense of events. That was an event. Today marks the anniversary of that event that took place in 2013. So therefore, today being, let's say, one's death day of the 12th, and we also talk about the age of Aquarius and all of that energy and, you know, all of that, man. I find for the reset or the cosmic reset and the resurfacing of, you know, energy or manifestation, I don't see it to be no coincidence, because many of the people today are speaking of a revolution, or many of the people are speaking of some sort of, you know, uprising, whether it be in AI or whether it be just in your fucking mind. You know what I mean? A lot of the people are kind of, you know, engaged into this conflict, and I'm gonna keep it gangster. It ain't even that. You know what I'm saying? It's something much greater than that. Then when you know, then you will look at this conflict as bullshit. You will see this conflict and what they're putting out as conflict as a distraction. So to try to create a war, or to try to create a civil war, is a distraction from the foundation and the pathway that is being cleared courtesy of Ogun, or that has been cleared courtesy of Ogun. Let's say not just now or in the previous years, but since 2013 and before. So nigga, it's been events, it's been people, it's been places and things that has been here for us in our favor, let's say, to help guide us and usher us into the age of which we are meant to be in, or know ourselves to be in, right, as we're creating it. And we cannot lose ourselves. One should not want to lose themselves. I don't want to just say we, because everybody ain't walking the walk. You know what I mean? But for those that's walking the walk, nigga, do not lose yourself. You know what I'm saying? Do not lose yourself in this world, in this society, in this government, and any of this shit, man. Because these motherfuckers don't give a fuck about you. You know what I'm talking about? So really get into the, I would say, the self-celebration, the self-admiration, you know, and I mean that in a sense of sovereignty, because, you know, so many people fixed behind Valentine's Day, so many people fixed behind what the fuck is not happening, and it's like, man, why not acknowledge what you do have and what you do got going on, just so you can, you know, maybe make things a little better, you know what I mean? And so definitely your choices within will determine how you experience this outer projection of a manifestation. And I definitely just wanted to put that, you know, out into the world, man, because not only is the warrior spirit alive and well, but the warrior spirit is here to guide us and show us better, and how we have greater tools. We have advanced in our combat. We are advanced in our combat, and we don't have to commit suicide by genocide. You know what I'm saying? And that's just real. You know, we don't gotta throw ourselves under the bus, and we don't gotta go at these people who we think is the quote unquote enemy. Fuck them. You know, we don't got to give attention to certain shit that undervalues and underserves us as a collective or as individuals. We must remind ourselves and remember who we are. And that's the main thing. Because I honestly could feel that when Christopher Dorner was going through what he was going through, even before he did what he did, his frustration, his irritable, you know, response or whatever, you know, was all coming from him remembering who he truly is or truly was at a particular time in his life. So therefore, how it manifested, showed up, or came back into this, let's say, awakening state of what would be 2013, nigga, you got to really look into that. You got to really, you know, pay close attention to not just, you know, that, but even, you know, in the forward of like the stars and the many cosmic warriors and soldiers and beings that we've come that have come here on Earth to help us get to the better foundation or the better manifestation in which we are headed. And so that's just where I want to conclude this message, you know what I'm saying? Just with a gratitude and an ashe, you know, to Christopher Dorner, and ashe to Ogun, ashe Ogun La Flambeau, ashe to Petor tribe, ashe. And overall, you know, I'm just putting out, you know what I mean, the positive spirit, you know, and the positive energy of the warrior spirit, you know, that has won. You know what I'm saying? One who has fought the great fight and has recognized, you know, it was always the one. It was always you that you was fighting or trying to get to. And that's the real shit when we talk spiritual war, when we talk anything spiritual. The greatest debate and greatest fight you could ever have is with yourself. So before you know, open your eyes and get to looking out, you know, beyond you and whatever, consider who you are and what you are and even what you are facing or not facing, you know, within yourself to then do what you here to do. You know what I'm saying? And that's just that, man. Much love, man. Westside.